everyone, welcome and welcome back to my channel. This is Patty, the Quiet Sister. For today's card project, we are using Pink Fresh Studios Lantern Botanicals stamp and stencils and Catherine Pooler's Around the Loop Nested Dies. So let's get started. So to begin with, I had to do a little stamp surgery because the lantern and the candle were all connected to the botanical portion of the stamp. And at first, I thought I would just mask them off, and then I thought it's easier just to cut them apart. So for probably only the third time in my life I've done stamp surgery. I don't like doing it, but it needed to happen. And so I'm stamping, and I started off with Simon Says Stamps Intense Black ink, and I seriously need to re-ink that. So I had to move on to Memento's Tuxedo Black ink. And so what I'm going to be doing is I need to stamp this on two different pieces of paper. So I've got the first one, adding the second one. And I do have my misty corners in, so that alignment was very, very easy. And then I'm stamping in the exact same, or as close as possible to the exact same place on each piece of paper. And then just flipping it around and then doing the botanicals again in the corner. And then I will be trimming down a little bit when the project is done. And then we'll bring in that other piece of paper. Oops, wrong way. There we go. Other piece of paper, get the corner botanical stamped, and then we will be set. I believe I did it twice again. I think all my black inks seriously need to be re-inked. That's probably my next project. So now that these are all stamped, we'll get the stamp cleaned up, and then we will move on to the coloring. And so as I said, we were using the stencils. And so to get started with the stencil, I'm using Altenews fresh dye inks. And so this first color is called Berry Cool. And even though it has the name berry, it's a really light, not a celery green, but a cross between like a May green and a celery green. So it's a really pretty color. And then to deepen the leaves a little bit, we used Let Us Celebrate. And so the daubers I'm using are actually makeup application brushes that I got off of Amazon, and they worked great. You get 4 of them for $5. I think it's called the mushroom color that I have there, and they worked really great. So then for the florals, I'm using Dusty Pink, and then I'll come in with Coral Red. So to get the base color down, it's Dusty Pink, fresh dye ink from Altenew, and then we'll come in with the Coral Red. So the thing with these daubers is that you're not going to get the saturated color that you would normally get if you used a brush. So just know that. And I was looking for something a little lighter, and I don't have a light hand when I blend ink. I don't know what's wrong with me, but I just don't. So using a dauber was very helpful for me. So now that I've gotten those other two colors down, I'm just coming in with Cherry Street to do the buds so that the buds are darker than the blooms. And again, using the dauber so it's not as dark, although Cherry Street did show up quite well. So I need to stamp the lantern, but in order to get the lantern stamped, there's 2 flowers that would interfere. So I need to mask off those 2 flowers. So I stamped the image on some masking paper and just cut out the flowers. And now I have the masking paper down over those 2, and I'm stamping the lamp. And I'll do that a couple of times, or the lantern, I should call it, not a lamp. Kind of reminds me of Moroccan lamp. It's really beautiful. So then we're going to go ahead and stencil the lamp. So I'm moving I had the lamp masked off on the stencil when I was doing the florals, and now I'm using that same tape. I'm going to mask off the florals that are near the lamp so that I don't have any over stenciling done. And I'm going to use the same reds, the coral red and the cherry sweet on the lantern, because I really want very few colors. I want it really simple, whereas colors go. Usually I like a ton of colors, but not on this one. So then I'll still use the cherry sweet on the middle portion of the lamp and on the 2 end, I don't know what you call them, spires maybe. And then I'll come in and use the coral red on the rest of the lamp. So with having the mask down, you do get a little bit of a white line. And so to color in the white line, I found my blending pencil. It's a Tombow blender, and just took a touch of the coral red, and I'm going around where I had issues with the masks and went around that, and you can't tell that there was ever an issue, which is really great. That Tombow blending pen is wonderful. And then you just scribble the color off on another piece of paper, and you can go in with a new color, whatever color you need. So now I'm stamping the candle in the lantern, and I'm going to use reds again. Like I said, I want this all to be very simple. And we'll still use the daubers on this. And I had to go run and get lemonade stand to do the flame on the candle. And some of these colors, the cherry sweet and the lemonade stand, these are part of the Amy Tangerine colors for Altenew, so they're a little more vibrant than the other inks I had, so I enjoy them. And they work well with some of the other colors I had. And then just to add a little more interest and a little more dimension, at the very base of the leaves, I took my Kelly Green Prismacolored pencil and I'm darkening the leaves just a little bit. So you can see what I'm doing. So the Berry Cool is the really light green, and you see that more towards the tips of all the leaves. And then I came in with the Let Us Celebrate and stenciled that in about halfway up the leaf, maybe a little bit, yeah, almost 3/4 of the leaf. And now using my Prismacolored pencil, coming in and just darkening the base of the flowers and the leaves just to add that little extra touch as well. And you can just see I went a little slower there, basically kind of scribbling. I'm not, doing anything special, no special coloring. And now for the flowers, I'm coming in with my carmine red and my crimson red. So the carmine red, I'm doing closer so that there's just the stenciling shows towards the top third or the top quarter of the flower. And then I'm coming in with my carmine red, covering up most of the flower petal, and then the crimson red closer to the base of the flower. And then the brush that you see coming in is a Tonic Studio brush. It was just it's very old. I don't even know how much it costs anymore, but anytime your pencils shed, you just want to use a brush to get the bits away. You don't want to use your hand because any kind of pressure makes it color on your paper then. And I have ruined images doing it that way before. So as you can see, it went really quick, and now I'm just adding a little bit of accents to the candle and on the lantern. I'll add some too. And I used the same colors. So here's just the white Prismacolored pencil, and I'm lightly going over everything to blend it. And it makes such a difference when you look at it, especially in real life, when you've blended it with the white. You can use Gamsol. I don't have any of that. I just like to use the white and lightly go over everything, and it blends everything in. It makes a big difference. So I did that on all the leaves. And I believe I did it on the flowers as well. Nope, did not. Okay, and so we are going in then with the darker red, the crimson red, to bring shadows onto the lantern, just add a little bit of depth. And so I'm just going around the edges with that, kind of highlighting the edges with the darker red, and then coming in with the carmine red and blending that out. And then we do it at the base as well. So I feel like when you have an image that's stenciled, the Prismacolored pencils flow so much better. Even though there's not a lot of tooth in this paper, there's something about the ink being down that helps the pencils work better. So now I'm going to take the other panel that I had colored, because remember I'd stamped 2 panels, and this one I didn't do any accent colors on, I just did the basic stenciling on it. And I'm going to take the Catherine Pooler Around the Loop Nested Dies, and I'm taking the largest one and the third largest one, using a Simon Says stamp grid to get the largest loop aligned the way I want it. And then I will come in with the third largest loop and arrange that. And I think I use the grid again to make sure I've got it lined up about as well as I can. Pardon my head being in the way. And then I will go ahead and get that cut out. And I use Anna Griffin's cutting machine, the Empress, and it is wonderful. I've probably had it for 2 years now. And I have not changed any of the mats or the plates out either. So there's what I would like to do. I'm taking that oval and I'm adding it to the card, and I'll cut 3 more ovals out and then glue the stenciled oval onto it just for a little bit of dimension, but I only used 65-pound cardstock, so it's not a lot of dimension. So I went around the entire image with B00, and now I'm coming in with B000 and blending it all out. So if you go around the image with a darker, it makes the image pop a little more, and then blending out the entire background so that you have just a nice light background. So there are some places where I had to go over twice with the B00, but I wasn't going to make you watch me color the whole thing. You get the gist of it. So now I've got my 3 other ovals cut out of the 65-pound cardstock, gluing them together, and then I'll glue the stenciled version on top. So I did end up, as I was gluing these together, trimming down the ovals a little bit. I just felt like it was too easy to see the edges. Here I'm trimming a little bit because I didn't align them properly with the glue, so I'm just trimming a little bit off. Sorry, apologize for that being out of frame. But now I add on the largest oval, or the stenciled oval, and I just need to trim all the way around instead of trying to align it up quickly or trying to align it up exactly. It'll go as much quicker if you trim down the stacked ovals. So and then trimming down in the interior as well, and that way it's so much easier to glue. So as you can see, it's not a lot of dimension, it's just a touch of dimension, which is just perfect. Because I'm really careful now, because I like to mail my cards or give them to senior living homes to be mailed out so the residents can take them and use them. And I don't want any added postage. I want, they're already doling out so much being in assisted living or senior living. I don't want any added postage. So getting that oval lined up, and I do leave it white, and then putting some stamping blocks on there to hold it down flat. And now we're going to work on the sentiment. So at first I thought I was going to do it on scrap white cardstock, and then I decided I didn't want to. So I'm dragging out some scrap vellum. And this is vellum that I got at the local scrapbook and stamp store. Here in the Minneapolis area, it's called Anchor Paper, and they did like a whole box of vellum. I mean, I probably have 100 sheets, and I think it was like $11. And this is really thick vellum. So it's, you can't, there's some things you just can't use it for, like embossing folders, because it cracks and rips to beat the band. But as far as putting it on for sentiments and using it for other things, that works great. It's just the embossing folders where it's difficult. So I'm heat setting it. I used Hero Arts Detail Fine Black embossing powder, stamped it with VersaFine black ink. And now I'm going to cut it out with Simon Says Stamps Nested Banners, which seems to be what I use on every card lately because they're such a great set for sentiments. So I'm using the I don't even know what you'd call them, flags. And I do end up cutting off one of the ends. I'm using my Hero Arts snips there. If you don't have them, get them. They're thin. The tips are really thin, so even though the dies might be really close together, they get in and snip. They are the best pair I've ever had. So I highly recommend those. So cutting out the sentiment, and then I will get my Xyron sticker maker, the little X. I have the 5-inch one and then this little one. Oh, first I'm coloring, sorry. So I'm using yellow orange and lemon yellow Prismacolored pencils to add a little something to the flame and then to show glowing in the lantern. And that turned out really well. And then trimming down 1/8 of an inch off each side. Okay, going in with the Xyron sticker maker. If you haven't heard, if you use like a adhesive back like that, um, it doesn't show through the vellum because you've solidly applied the adhesive, so it doesn't show. You can't see the adhesive through the vellum, so it's a great way to add vellum sentiments or any smaller vellum thing. And if you have larger vellum items, you can run it through, like I use my 5-inch. And so now I'm putting the 3M foam tape on the back, and I don't know why I can never get my 3M foam tape straight on the back, but I can't. So adding that to the back of the card, and then I'll peel that off and I will add that to the card base. So the card base, I always use heavyweight 110-pound cardstock. I just like the feel of a heavier card base. It just feels substantial. It feels, I don't know, it just makes it seem like a better project. So while I'm loving how this turned out, I decided to add some sequins. So I'm using Tybee Island by Catherine Pooler, and those are the white ones. And then the red ones are the Hero Arts Ruby Ombre sequins. And they just matched perfectly. So got a mixture of sequins there. And then we'll be adding some Winkostella onto these. So yeah, I've got the Winkostella out, and that's going to go on the window panes of the lantern and then on the flowers as well. And then just to add a little bit more something, I decided I wanted to do glossy accents on the lantern, and for some reason I struggled getting all my glossy accents out, which you will see. But what I really like about this card is it's like you could do basic. We could have just done the basic stamped image and colored and left it there. But then to level up, we added colored pencils to the stenciled images. So that levels it up a little bit. And then to level it up a little bit more, we added the oval around it just to add a little more design to it. So just whatever your style is, you can keep, keeping it simple or leveling up, whatever works best for you. It's all the same stamp set, which is really great. So then adding in my glossy accents. And I don't know what it was about the bottle that day, because I used it yesterday and it worked great, but I could not get it to work for this. Or work as well as it normally does. So I got a lot of bubbles while I was doing this. So I did need to take a pin and I clean it up a little bit, but it worked out fine in the end. So if you have any questions about the products used, all of the details are on my blog, thequietsister.blog. And if you have more questions, feel free to leave a comment or shoot an email. Please like and subscribe so that I get an opportunity to share my videos more with everyone. I really thank my subscribers that I have now. You are about the sweetest people I've ever met. And so, yeah, the pin, I'm cleaning up the edges. And then mixing it in, popping the bubbles. And there we go. Thank you so much for stopping by. I really appreciate you. Enjoy your day. Take care. Bye-bye.